The rain fell hard over New York City that morning. Not the soft kind of rain people enjoy, but the heavy rain that soaks your clothes, floods the streets, and makes everyone angry and late. Cars rushed past each other. Horns screamed. People walked fast with their heads down, caring about nothing except getting where they needed to go. In the middle of all this chaos, a man named Dwayne Mitchell was running. He was holding a small, old umbrella that barely worked. Rain slipped through the sides and soaked his shirt. His shoes made wet sounds as he ran across Madison Avenue. In his hand, he clutched a worn-out portfolio, trying his best to keep it dry. Today was not just any day for Dwayne. Today was the day that could change his life forever. Dwayne was on his way to the most important interview he had ever had. After years of struggling as a freelance graphic designer, barely paying rent, barely buying food, and raising his young son alone, he finally had a real chance. A full-time job, a stable income, a future. The company was Monroe Creative Group, one of the biggest creative firms in New York City. As he ran, Dwayne whispered to himself, "Arrive early. Stay calm. Speak clearly." These were the words his father used to say to him when he was younger. His father was gone now, but his lessons still lived inside Dwayne's heart. His father always believed that kindness mattered more than success. Dwayne checked his watch. He was on time, maybe even a little early. A small smile appeared on his face. For the first time in a long while, he felt hope. Then he heard it. A voice. Weak. Shaking. Afraid. "Please, somebody help me." Dwayne stopped. He turned his head and looked toward the sound. In the middle of the busy intersection stood a black luxury car. Its hazard lights blinked fast. Cars honked loudly around it. Drivers shouted from their windows, angry and impatient. Inside the car sat a woman in a business suit. Her hair was wet. Her hands trembled as she tried to start the engine again and again. Her phone was pressed to her ear, but no one was answering. She looked scared. She looked lost. Dwayne felt his chest tighten. His interview was only minutes away. If he stopped now, he would be late. And being late could cost him everything. He looked down at his soaked clothes. He looked at his portfolio. Then he looked back at the woman. His father's voice echoed in his mind. Asterisk, if someone needs help, you help. Even when it costs you. Asterisk. Dwayne closed his umbrella. He stepped into the rain. Ignoring the angry drivers, he walked toward the car and gently knocked on the window. "Ma'am, are you okay? Do you need help?" he asked. The woman turned and looked at him like he was her last hope. She quickly rolled down the window. "Yes, please," she said. "My car just stopped. I have an important meeting. I don't know what to do." "Let me take a look," Dwayne said calmly. Rain poured down as he lifted the hood. Water ran down his face, his neck, his back. His hands shook from the cold, but he kept working. He checked the battery. He adjusted the cables. He listened closely. "Try again," he said. The engine coughed. Then it started. The woman covered her mouth in shock. "Oh my God, thank you," she said. "I can pay you. Please, tell me how I can thank you." Dwayne checked his watch. He was late. Very late. He shook his head and smiled softly. "Just help someone else one day," he said. "That's enough." The woman stared at him, surprised. "Thank you," she said again before driving away. Dwayne stood alone in the rain. Soaked. Cold. Late. But calm. Minutes later, he entered Monroe Tower. The receptionist looked at him with shock. "I'm here for the 9 o'clock interview with Victoria Monroe," Dwayne said. The receptionist paused. "Sir, Miss Monroe canceled all interviews today." Dwayne felt the hope slip from his chest. Still, he walked back into the rain, not knowing the truth. He had just helped the CEO of the company, and this choice was about to change his life forever. The rain stopped, but the silence that followed felt even heavier. For 3 long days, Dwayne Mitchell woke up with the same hope and the same fear. Every morning, he checked his phone before his feet touched the floor. Every morning, his inbox was empty. No message, no call, no second chance. The interview that was supposed to change his life had disappeared like the rainwater down the city drains. Dwayne sat at the small table in his Harlem apartment, staring at his laptop screen. The room was quiet except for the soft sound of his son breathing in the next room. That sound was the reason Dwayne kept going, even when everything felt heavy. He opened a design file and tried to focus, but his mind kept drifting back to that morning on Madison Avenue. The woman in the car, her shaking hands, the relief in her eyes when the engine started. He still did not know her name, but her face stayed in his thoughts. A knock came at the door. It was Brandon, his closest friend. Brandon walked in holding 2 cheap coffees and dropped onto the old couch. "Man, you look worn out," he said. "Did they call you yet?" Dwayne shook his head. "Nothing." Brandon sighed. "You gave up your interview for a stranger." "I didn't give it up," Dwayne replied calmly. "I made a choice." "A choice that doesn't pay rent," Brandon said. "Being good doesn't put food on the table." Dwayne smiled slightly. "Maybe not, but I can still sleep at night." Brandon didn't answer. He knew Dwayne was stubborn, but he also knew his heart was real. That evening, Dwayne's phone rang. It was his mother, Ruth. "Are you eating well?" she asked, like always. "I'm trying, Mom." "And the job?" "I'm waiting." She was quiet for a moment. "God sees things we don't," she said softly. "Kindness never gets lost." After the call, Dwayne worked late into the night, finishing small jobs that barely paid. His eyes burned, his shoulders ached, but he kept going. On the 4th day, the sun finally came out. Needing fresh air, Dwayne packed his laptop and walked to Bryant Park. The city felt alive again. People laughed. Children ran. For the first time all week, Dwayne felt his chest loosen. He sat on a bench, sketching ideas, when he heard a voice behind him. "Excuse me, do you know a good coffee shop nearby?" Dwayne looked up. His heart skipped. It was her. The woman from the rain stood there, clean and confident now, dressed in a navy blue suit. Her hair was tied back neatly, and she held a notebook close to her chest. Before he could speak, her eyes widened. "Wait, you're the man who helped me that morning." "Yes," Dwayne said, standing up slowly. "I'm glad you made it." She smiled, warm and real. "I've been hoping I'd see you again." They walked to a small coffee shop nearby. Inside, they sat across from each other. She ordered a latte. Dwayne ordered plain black coffee. "I never got your name," she said. "Dwayne." "I'm Victoria," she replied. They talked longer than either planned. She asked about his work, and he spoke about design with quiet passion. She listened carefully, like his words mattered. "Why did you help me?" she asked. "Because you needed help," Dwayne said simply. Her eyes softened. When she stood to leave, she smiled. "I hope we meet again." Dwayne watched her walk away, feeling something new. Something had started. Days later, fate crossed their paths again. In a small Harlem cafe, Victoria stood frustrated at the counter. Her lunch order was wrong, and she looked overwhelmed. "Victoria?" Dwayne said. She turned, relieved. "Dwayne." He bought her food with his last $20. She thanked him like it meant everything. "You always show up when I need help," she said. Dwayne smiled. "Maybe that's what I'm meant to do." That night, as Dwayne ate noodles with his son, he wondered why life kept pulling them together. He didn't know the truth yet, but the truth was already moving toward him. And when it arrived, nothing would ever be the same. The days after the cafe meeting felt different for Dwayne Mitchell. Life was still hard. Bills still waited. Work was still uncertain. But something inside him had shifted. Every morning, he woke with a quiet feeling that something important was moving closer. He tried to ignore it. He focused on his son, on school lunches, on small design jobs that barely paid. Still, his thoughts returned to Victoria. The way she listened. The way she spoke his name like it mattered. One Tuesday morning, while Dwayne worked at his kitchen table, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Almost. "Hello," he said. "Good morning, Mr. Mitchell," a calm voice replied. "This is Monroe Creative Group. We would like to invite you for an interview tomorrow at 10 a.m. Dwayne froze. Are you sure?" he asked. "Yes," the voice said. "Please come to the executive floor." The call ended. Dwayne sat still, staring at his phone. Hope returned, but fear followed closely behind. The next morning, Dwayne stood outside Monroe Tower once again. This time, the sky was clear. He wore his best suit. His shoes were clean. His portfolio was dry. Still, his hands shook. Inside, the elevator carried him upward, higher than he had ever been. The doors opened to a quiet floor with glass walls and soft light. A woman greeted him and led him into a conference room. "Please wait," she said. Dwayne sat down, straightened his tie, and took a deep breath. Then the door opened. Victoria walked in. She wore a cream-colored suit and held a folder with his name on it. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "Victoria?" Dwayne said softly. She closed the door and smiled gently. "Good morning, Dwayne." Understanding hit him like a wave. "You're Miss Monroe," he said. "Yes," she replied. "I'm the CEO." Silence filled the room. Dwayne leaned back slowly, shock heavy on his chest. "Why didn't you tell me?" Because you helped me without knowing who I was, Victoria said. You saw a person, not a title. That mattered to me. She sat across from him. You missed your interview because of me. I couldn't let that be the end of your story. Dwayne shook his head. I didn't help you for a reward. I know, she said. That's why you're here. She took a breath. There's more. Dwayne looked up. I've grown to care about you, Victoria continued. Not as a CEO, not as a favor, as a person. The words settled between them. I care about you too, Dwayne admitted quietly. They both knew what this meant. Different worlds, different expectations. Judgment waiting outside the door. Victoria leaned forward. This won't be easy. I know, Dwayne said. People will talk. They always do. She smiled softly. Are you willing to try? Dwayne thought of his father, of kindness, of choices made in the rain. Yes, he said. Their hands met across the table. Outside, the city moved fast and loud. Inside, something real had begun. But this was only the beginning. Because love, power, and truth were about to collide. And the world would be watching. The news did not stay hidden for long. In a city like New York, secrets have a short life. A single whisper in the wrong hallway is enough to turn a private moment into public noise. Within days, people inside Monroe Creative Group began to notice things. The extra meetings, the quiet smiles, the way Victoria Monroe's name kept appearing next to Dwayne Mitchell's. At first, it was only looks. Then it became questions. Then it became judgment. Dwayne felt it the moment he walked into the office as a new hire. Conversations stopped when he passed. Eyes followed him down the hallway. Some faces showed curiosity. Others showed clear dislike. He tried to ignore it. He focused on his work. Dwayne stayed late, worked hard, and delivered clean designs on time. He did not ask for favors. He did not use Victoria's name. He wanted to prove that he belonged there on his own. But not everyone believed that. In a large glass office on the top floor, a man named Richard Hale watched closely. He was a senior board member, powerful, respected, and used to control. To him, Monroe Creative Group was not just a company. It was a machine that followed rules. And Dwayne Mitchell was a problem. This is inappropriate, Richard said during a private board meeting. A CEO involved with a junior employee? The press will destroy us if this comes out. Victoria sat calmly at the head of the table. My personal life does not affect company performance, she said. Richard leaned forward. Public image does. The pressure grew. Soon, rumors leaked outside the building. A blog posted a blurry photo of Victoria and Dwayne walking together. Social media exploded. Some praised the story. Others attacked it. Gold digger. Favor hire. She's abusing her power. Dwayne read the comments late at night, sitting in his small apartment. Each word felt heavy. He looked at his sleeping son and felt fear crawl into his chest. At work, the tension became impossible to ignore. One afternoon, Dwayne was called into a meeting. Not with Victoria. With human resources. We've received concerns, the manager said carefully. About fairness. About professionalism. Dwayne nodded slowly. I didn't ask for special treatment. We know, she replied. But perception matters. When Dwayne left the room, his hands shook. That evening, he met Victoria on the rooftop of the building. The city lights stretched endlessly behind them. This is getting bad, Dwayne said quietly. I don't want to be the reason you lose everything. Victoria stepped closer. You are not the problem. But I'm the easiest target, he replied. She knew he was right. The next day, Richard made his move. He called for a board review and suggested that Dwayne's position be reconsidered. He spoke of ethics, policy, and risk. The room filled with quiet agreement. Victoria listened. Then she stood. Dwayne Mitchell earned his place here, she said firmly. But if my relationship creates doubt, then I will remove myself from the decision. The board was shocked. That night, Victoria met Dwayne again. Her eyes were tired. They want me to choose, she said. My role or my heart. Dwayne felt his chest tighten. Then choose the company. She looked at him. Is that what you want? He swallowed hard. I want you safe. Silence fell between them. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, two people stood at the edge of a choice that could break them. And neither of them knew what tomorrow would cost. Part 5. The price of integrity. The next morning felt heavier than all the days before it. Dwayne Mitchell woke up before the alarm. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, listening to the city wake up outside his window. Cars passed. Voices rose. Life continued, even though his own felt frozen. He thought about Victoria. He thought about the look in her eyes the night before, the fear she tried to hide, the strength she carried for everyone else. And he knew what he had to do. At work, the tension was sharp enough to feel in the air. People whispered openly now. No one pretended anymore. Dwayne walked to his desk and opened his computer, but his hands refused to move. An hour later, he stood up. He walked straight to Victoria's office. She looked up, surprised. "Dwayne." He closed the door behind him. "We need to talk." She nodded, already understanding. "I can't be the reason they tear you apart," he said calmly. "This company is your life. You built it. I won't be the man who makes you lose it." Victoria stood and shook her head. "You're not a burden." "I know," he replied. "But I also know how this ends if we don't stop it." Silence stretched between them. "I'm going to resign," Dwayne said. The words hit her hard. "No," she said. "That's not fair." "Fair doesn't matter right now," he answered softly. "What matters is protecting what you worked for." Her eyes filled, but she said nothing. That afternoon, Dwayne submitted his resignation. The office reacted instantly. Some looked relieved. Some looked guilty. Richard Hale heard the news and allowed himself a small smile. By evening, Dwayne was back in his apartment, holding his son close. He felt broken, but also strangely proud. He had walked away with his integrity. Across the city, Victoria sat alone in her office long after everyone left. The city lights reflected in the glass walls, but she felt no warmth. She replayed every moment. The rain, the car, the kindness, the sacrifice, and something inside her snapped. The next morning, Victoria arrived early for the board meeting. Richard and the other members took their seats, expecting routine. They were wrong. "I have an announcement," Victoria said calmly. The room went quiet. "I am fully aware of the rumors, the pressure, and the judgment," she continued. "And I will not hide from it." Richard leaned back, confident. "I did not give Dwayne Mitchell special treatment," Victoria said. "But I did see his character. Something this company claims to value." She placed a folder on the table. "Inside are performance reports," she said. "Dwayne outperformed expectations. He earned his position." Richard frowned. "And now," Victoria continued, "I will speak personally." She took a breath. "I am stepping down as CEO." The room exploded in shock. Richard froze. "I refuse to lead a company that punishes integrity and rewards fear," Victoria said firmly. "Effective immediately, I resign." She stood and walked out. That evening, Dwayne heard a knock at his door. Victoria stood there. "I chose honesty," she said. "Just like you taught me." They stood in silence. Outside, the city watched. Inside, two hearts prepared for whatever came next. Part 6. What the Rain Began. The city reacted faster than anyone expected. By morning, Victoria Monroe's resignation was everywhere. News channels replayed the story. Blogs argued. Social media took sides. Some called her brave. Others called her foolish. But one thing was clear. People were listening. Dwayne Mitchell watched the headlines from his small apartment. Holding a cup of cold coffee he had forgotten to drink. His son sat on the floor, building something with old blocks, unaware that his father's quiet life had just shaken the city. "I'm sorry," Dwayne whispered to the screen, thinking of Victoria. "You didn't deserve this." Across town, Victoria woke up in her empty penthouse, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in years, she had no schedule, no board to answer to, no company waiting for her decisions. Only silence. 2 days later, the truth came out. An independent journalist released internal documents from Monroe Creative Group. Emails, reports, numbers. They showed that Dwayne's work had been evaluated blindly and ranked among the best in his department. No favors, no shortcuts. Then another truth followed. The documents also revealed Richard Hale's actions. Pressure tactics, manipulated meetings, attempts to force decisions through fear. The same man who spoke loudest about ethics had broken them quietly. The story exploded. Public opinion shifted overnight. Richard Hale resigned within 48 hours. The board issued a public apology, and Victoria Monroe's name changed from controversial to respected. One afternoon, Dwayne received an email. It was from the board. They offered him his job back. With a promotion. Dwayne read the message twice. Then he closed the laptop. That evening, he met Victoria in the same small coffee shop where they first talked like strangers. The air felt lighter now. Honest. "They offered me my job back," Dwayne said. Victoria smiled softly. "What did you say?" "I said no." She looked surprised. I've learned something, he continued. Success without peace isn't success. Victoria nodded. I feel the same. Weeks passed. Together, they started something new. A small creative studio. No titles. No power games. Just honest work. Dwayne designed. Victoria managed. Slowly, clients came. The story followed them, but now it inspired instead of judged. One rainy afternoon, much like the first day, Dwayne stood by the window of their new office. Victoria joined him. Funny how rain changed everything, she said. Dwayne smiled. It showed us who we are. Years later, their studio grew into a respected company. Not because of fame, but because of trust. Dwayne's son grew up watching two adults choose integrity over fear. On a quiet evening, as rain tapped gently against the glass, Dwayne held Victoria's hand. Do you ever regret it? He asked. She shook her head. Not for a second. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, a simple choice made in the rain had become a life built on truth. And that was the real success.